This is really, really important, this question. When you sent this to me, Kent, I was like, holy shit, this is gold here. This man's been doing this work for, I'd say, over a year at this point, and he has this question. So I was thrown for a loop the other night with this girl that I'm seeing. It's been great, but she asked me if I'm over my ex. Of course I am. She asked me why I'm so guarded with people, with my kids, knowing I'm dating. She said the longer my ex knows that I'm not dating, the longer my ex thinks I'm still in play, even though we're divorced. Not sure how to take that. Obviously, I'm over my ex, but just trying to figure out her angle on this statement. Okay, this is going to have a lot of nuance here that I'm really actually excited to unfold. That's obvious to you? That's obvious to this girl? Like, who's that obvious to?
Well, I think this was the first time that she had a chance to really ask about, my past. We've had conversations about our exes and things like that. And I don't know if I put something out there that I was maybe still thinking about my ex or, things like that. But as far as obvious to me, that was the first thing that I had to come to grips with was, as you taught me, Jeff, turn my shoulders and go a different direction and completely leave it behind me. And like you said, I was separated over a year ago, and the opportunity with my ex never reestablished itself. So I've continued to move on from that. And I was just confused. And this was the first woman that I've, heard anything from as far as, oh, your ex may still be in play. So I didn't know if that was an experience of hers that's coming through in the past, or something she's concerned about, or something that I put out there. I really don't know at this point, but I've had a great time with her up to this point. It's been about 3 weeks. Yeah, it did. Literally threw me for a loop. And I've kind of been thinking about this a lot.
So what did it feel like to you? It felt like it threw you for a loop. What does that feel like in your body?
It really made me, for the first time in a while, just kind of like freeze in time and try to overthink. I almost was overthinking with her at dinner when she asked me that. And I've usually been pretty good the last 6 or 8 months of not reacting to things and being calm in the moment. But that was kind of that first time maybe I tensed up a little bit. And so She even texted me this morning kind of, thanking me for the clarity and things like that. But, I've been very clear with women at this point and where I'm at and wanting connection and, building things one day at a time. And she's respected that. But yeah, this question just kind of threw me off.
Yeah. Okay. So you said something about, hey, she said the next day, thank you for the clarity. So let's pause on that. I want to ask you about that, but let me dig into this. Okay. So it threw me for a loop. You felt frozen. So it was a pattern break of some kind. It took you out of your body and into thinking, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So what that other person just did, man or woman, is put you on your back foot. So the frozen is fight or flight or freeze, right? Which could happen for a second or 10 seconds or 5 minutes or however long. And it put you in your head. So what does that sound like? What energy is she putting off to do that?
She's putting a lot of masculine energy into the situation.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So that is a shit test or a challenge in some kind of capacity. I try to be careful with the shit test, but it's absolutely a challenge coming from her masculine. Okay. So then it sounds like you handled it well, because the next day she said, thank you for your clarity. But I want you to, so let's step through this. This is really important. Okay. This is really, really important. This question, when you sent this to me, Kent, I was like, holy shit, this is gold here, because we can unfold this. So many of the women in our life are in their masculine. They have this huge shell, especially if she's pissed off at you or wants space, or I love you, but not in love with you. She shelled herself off. That is you're no longer the masculine container in her life if she's saying those things. So if you're in that spot, the nagging, the pushing at you, the criticizing you is her masculine shell poking you. Okay. Now this woman in 3 weeks in, it's probably not as nasty as it's 15 years in a relationship and she, you know what I mean? But that's what she just did. She took something that she's insecure about, or she wants to challenge you. And with Ian's not on here. If Ian was on here, he and I talked about this extensively, and I named it bookends. These are called conversational bookends. And this is advanced kind of like ninja masculine conversation shit that she's doing. So I called it bookends because she said, she put you in her frame. Why are you so guarded? Why are you so guarded? Boom, that's a bookend. So she's making an assertion about you that you didn't say. And the frozen defensiveness that's what it feels like when the other person bookends you. Because now the only place you can go is this way in their frame. Okay. So what you got to do, and I'll ask you what you did do, and it sounds like you handled it well, but my quick, in the time that we have here, advice that Ian and I talked about this for months. So next time he comes on, remind me, Kent, to talk to Ian about bookends. Okay, guys, remind me about bookends, which is you have to ignore the bookend. And just remember, I can put books wherever I want. So if she puts the bookend in the middle of the shelf, right, the bookshelf, that doesn't mean you have to put books on that side of the bookend. You can still put books wherever you want, meaning you're back into your frame. Okay. The problem here is she puts you in a defensive, on your back foot, defensive position, which is not going to be attractive long term. So what a woman's doing is frog farming you. Okay. You guys have heard of frog farming from Alison Armstrong? Right. So, okay. Tell us about frog farming. What's frog farming?
Yeah, it's like the exact opposite of a woman, of the feminine, embodying and being in like, really bringing to relationship a sense of like honoring you and respect. It's we talk about the fable of the princess kisses the frog. In relationships, she can start and it's like, you're the prince. And then it's kind of digging into making it all like making you the frog, making all the warts there. And then it becomes almost like the bookends that it's like, no matter where you move, you can't get out of unless like the relationship ends. And so Alison Armstrong says like that used to be where she came from as a woman. And that's why she started like studying masculinity and men and how women can respond. So that was her whole purpose and drive.
Yeah. So it's not malicious, but what she's doing is preemptively, this woman, Kent, I believe, and I'd love for Cynthia to give her, I believe she's preemptively defending herself through like her shell is pushing you, and she bookended you in the conversation. And it's this assertion. So here's the double bind that you're in as a man. If you defend yourself directly, now you're explaining and defending, okay, which is brain to brain, masculine to masculine. You're intellectually defending yourself, is depolarizing you with that woman. Now, 3 weeks in, there's enough, chemicals and honeymoon phase and dopamine and, adrenaline and shit to kind of get over that. But huge fucking warning sign for this woman's conversationals, like what she's doing. Okay. So the way you have to deal with, and this is just a challenge, by the way, I believe that we attract people that are, and this is family systems theory as well, research done since the 70s. We attract people that are within a certain range of our own enlightenment, our own skill set. So Kent, you attracted this woman because of your new level of skills. And now you're being challenged in that new level of skills with the woman who's putting the conversation into her frame with her masculine and bookending you. And so how do you deal with that is what I'm talking about, right? So you can put those books anywhere you want on the shelf. You can answer that. You can do sexy funny. I mean, that's probably a great way to go here. Like guarded. If you mean guarded, like, you can make a sex joke out of it. So I'm curious, Kent, right? Tell us how you handled it. So then the next day she said, thank you for being clear. Did you kind of explain yourself, or which way did you go with it?
So if there's anything I could describe myself as the last 6 or 8 months of my life is not talking too much. It's like, shut the fuck up. Like say what I had to say and then move on. Like I with my friends, with my family, with the women I'm dating, I don't over explain. And so how I handled that was right now I'm choosing to differentiate my fatherhood life with my dating life. Like I just don't want my kids involved in my relationships at this point. And that's pretty much all I said. And if there was anything that maybe triggered the conversation, and not to backtrack, but this just came to my mind, was the conversations about making plans, next week or next month or whatever. And I said, look, I'm looking for connections one day at a time. I said, my days as a dad are limited. I said, I'm going to spend my days with my kids. And when I'm with my kids, I'm with my kids. I'm like, when I'm with you, I'm with you. And I don't know if that triggered this type of shit test, but I think that might've had something to do with it. And then, cause she kind of went into this, well, if I want to do something next month, I can't plan it. And I said, no, you can plan it. Absolutely. And we can just, discuss, but right now for me, it's one day at a time as far as relationship status. So, not over explaining. Definitely. I know I did that well, and just creating those boundaries of, look, I've got me as a father and I've got me in my dating world. I'm doing a great job of differentiating those two worlds.
Yeah. Beautiful. So let me add on top of that, right? That sounded great, Kent, right? So for value, let me take a step forward. So you have a woman who will challenge you, that woman. So you're 100% clear that that's her personality. Like, I would bet $1 million that's going to continue. Okay. That's not a bad thing, but that's like you're in a karate class and she's throwing punches and kicks at you, and she wants you to be able to, with humor, with charm, with, empathy, block the kicks and then like make a sexy, funny joke, or block the punch and then bring her in for a kiss. You know what I mean? Like, this is the kind of stuff that this woman is going to need. This is who she is. Now, there's reasons for this, right? She's already, by the way, defensive about your ex, probably because she has issues. This is projection. This is humanity. All of us project unless we're very conscious and aware of our body and our emotions and our thoughts. Like, that's why we do this work too. So she's projecting here. There's obviously pain there for her, just so you know, right? So if I were you, if you continue to date her, which it sounds like you are, and you guys get to know each other a little bit more, the next time you're in a safe place, not like a restaurant, but probably coffee or someplace there's no rush, okay, and there's no pressure. If she brings anything up like this again, if I'm you, I'd say it feels like there's more underneath this for you. It feels like there might be pain underneath this for you. Share more about that with me. Okay. Now this can go one of two ways. She can open up to you and share, or she can get more defensive. Okay. If she gets more defensive, that's a very, very, very bad sign. Just so you know. Okay. If she's like, whoa, good, and masculinizes back or shells back, that's when I talk about these things, guys, and you try something, it can either go well or, she can get more defensive. And her getting more defensive, especially this early, means that there is a lot of pain there. And she doesn't either trust you enough yet, or there's a lot of pain. If she gets defensive and closes down, that's really, really bad. If she makes a joke back and kind of masculine pushes you again, she's throwing more kicks and punches, and she wants you to fucking flip her on the ground. And you know what I mean? Like, metaphorically, guys, okay? So just so you know, she might play more, she might feminine open, she might close down and shut off more. That's going to be a really, really big indicator of where she is in her own personal work and her own ability to trust you and open to you. And that doesn't mean that you just pull the ripcord then, but you know what I'm saying? You have 2 or 3 of those kind of chatting conversations over the next month or two. And if those aren't going well, man, that's a really bad sign in my opinion. Cynthia, what would you say about what I just said there about, open it? She wants you to be able to dodge the punches and then have fun with that. And she wants you to open her, but yet if she is not allowing you to lead there, what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah. I mean, I think, even the punch, the like bookended, your guarded statement does show that there is a pain there. There is something that she's looking to express. And that is very feminine, that is just coming out in a really poor way. And so the invitation to, that is such a gift to be like, gosh, it seems like there's a lot of pain there. And to invite her out, if she doesn't, she can't see that as a gift or feel it as a gift, or want to embrace that. That question itself is everything that like that sacred masculine offers. And if she doesn't want to be in the like divine or the feminine with you like that, that makes me very sad for her, for a missed opportunity. And it would feel like that could get harder and harder.
That's a really nice way to say it. That's going to get a million times worse is what she's saying. Okay. If you can't do judo with this chick 3 weeks in, that's, you know what I mean? Like when honeymoon phase and everything else. Yeah. Yeah. Kent, that's fantastic. I'm going to pause for a second. Jay, come on in, buddy. Thanks for raising your hand.
So if she just kind of like brushes it off, oh, it's just a question, refuses to give any information the other way.
Okay, that's a really good question. That's quite nuanced. So what environment you're in, like if she doesn't feel safe to open in that environment, you have to consider that. All right. And then your skills, how good you are at the yoga, the practice, the months and years and lifetime of practice of being sensitive to her body language, her energy, her facial expression. I shared this graphic again this week and I'll bring this up again. Okay. So if you're a man that does not have a lot of emotional empathy, feminine skills, I don't want to block Cynthia's face. If you don't have a lot of feminine skills and your profile as a man is like down here, you're probably no offense guys, if you're an engineer and you don't have a lot of practice with emotions, that's like fucking half the dudes. Right. So if you don't have a lot of practice with emotions, you're probably not very good at picking up on cues and what's going on with her. So you don't want to be like, oh, I heard Jeff say to parrot this sentence and then she's going to bloom. No, it's more about, can you feel the emotions that she's expressing? So if I could say it like this, just flat, like she's a man, right? Like, hey, so what is it about, you not wanting to tell your XYZ about the kids? And you go, oh, what's that about? And you're like, oh, nothing. It's just a question. And it's just flat. Okay. There's not a lot of emotion behind me saying it. But if I exaggerate the other way, so why are you not telling your ex about, dating and you go, oh, it feels like there's a lot underneath that for you. And she goes, no, not really. It's just a question. Okay. Obviously, there is a fuck ton of emotion underneath that. So if you're picking up on something truly, and you can't lie about this, you can't just bullshit and say, oh, I'm picking up on emotion underneath that. You actually have to feel something from her. Okay. You have to feel actual pain or something. And if it's safe, if we're like alone, I'd say, I don't buy that. I don't buy that. It feels like, and so you could be mischievous about it. I don't buy that. Come on. Or you can be serious and deep about that. Actually, I'm feeling that there's pain underneath that for you. And I want you to trust me enough. I want you to trust me to open to me right now. And then you shut the fuck up for like ever, like minutes. Cynthia knows exactly what we're talking. So, I mean, a feminine woman, and I love Cynthia to jump in here too. A feminine woman is going to have shells in today's world. Okay. To make money, you usually have to be in masculine culture and other asshole men and, shitty parenting practices from childhood and attachment issues and right on and on. Okay, past trauma in a relationship, or 25% of women self-declare they've had sexual trauma in their childhood. 25% of women declare that they've had sexual trauma in their childhood before 18. Okay, so it's going to be super rare that a woman doesn't have a masculine shell in some capacity, unless she's in the middle of belly dancing or something. Like if she's in the middle of a practice, that's different, but just in a day-to-day thing. So that you're going to feel that, and your ability to say and your ability to dance with and surf that wave of, hey, it feels like there's more there. I want you to trust me and open. She's going to have to open that shell or go back down into her femininity, her bottom drawer emotions, as Cynthia says, and then trust you enough to start sharing a little bit of that with you. Okay. Cynthia, say more about that. Her ability to access her bottom drawer emotions, depending on the man's connectedness and skill to make her feel safe, and the skills of how to ask and how to resonate with her emotions.
Yeah. I mean, what you just modeled is that, incredible invitation. And it's without, if there is, if she's shut down already or triggered by something, if you ask that and in a place where you're feeling a little triggered or frustrated or angry, it'll be like this kind of energy, because she won't want to go deeper at all.
Safe, right?
Yeah. To go down really deep. I mean, yeah, women are certainly allowed and encouraged to have a lot more emotional range than men. And they also have not learned always to go really deep into their emotions. So their range might be here and it might have a lot of like wind to it, but to go deeper is vulnerable. And she does need to trust that what she says is met by the sacred masculine energy. It's a lot of times the refusal to go deeper is a fear of judgment, a fear of anger, a fear of losing you, a fear of being seen inept or to being seen as weak.
Yeah. So we're knocking on the door of advanced practice here, which Cynthia and I do, and we ongoingly have done professionally and in our relationship too. Cynthia works with women as well, if they're open to do this work. She works with women. We are both working with couples. We've worked with 3 couples thus far. We're opening more to couples as well. So by the way, guys, if you're watching this, if you want to reach out to me or us one-on-one so we can draw you the map and point you in the right direction, start learning these skills one-on-one so you can relax about this, so you can feel guided about this, go to greatmenmovemountains.com/contact and I'll personally respond to you. I got a guy from Australia that reached out to me yesterday, actually. No shit. Yeah, Patrick, thanks for raising your hand. Coming in.
What's to stop you from, she's in the masculine and you stay in your masculine and switch the bookends? You just go, why do you ask?
Well, why do you ask sounds defensive. So there's a there's a different way to do that. You kind of, it's more like, instead of just stopping the punch, it's dodging the punch and then going from there. It's you want it to be a dance. You don't want it to be just like a stop. You want it to be a flow. Okay. Do you have a follow-up question about that?
I'm trying to get the flow. You just say, why do you ask, in a quite friendly tone? Is it a threat to you? Because if she's in the masculine, why do you ask is to a degree a masculine approach?
Right. So do you want her to be more masculine? Because asking why, the question why, is going to put the person to prove themselves. It's like putting them on the defensive, unless they're very skilled in conversation. But you don't want her to be masculine. So you're trying to draw her into feminine. So don't ask her a masculinizing question. That's how I would answer that.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
To watch the rest of this episode for free and other episodes, go to greatmenmovemountains.com/VIP. Punch in your info and watch the rest for free.
Get more affection, love, and sex in your marriage. Get less paralyzing fear and rejection. Never miss an episode. Watch anytime, anywhere, 3 a.m. on the toilet. Get full episodes. greatmenmovemountains.com/VIP. The C Note Show.